Meteorologist Joey Sovine here in the Live 5 First Alert Weather Center with an update of what's going on out in the tropics as we're watching a disturbance in the Caribbean that is likely to develop over the next couple of days. So let's hop right into it, talk about where it's at, where it's headed, and whether it will impact us. And you can see on the satellite imagery this morning, we're kind of focused in on the Western Caribbean. This is an area of disturbed weather, showers and thunderstorms, not organized at this point in time. A bunch of clusters have kind of developed over the past couple of days and faded away and then redeveloped. So we're just watching this area basically east of Jamaica for the possibility of a circulation center starting to form over the next 24 hours. So remember, we're early in the ball game with this. This hasn't even formed yet, so we don't have a start point. So determining an end point, trying to figure out where this may eventually make landfall and track through the southeast is really going to hinge upon exactly where the circulation center, farther to the east. The farther to the east it comes north, the farther west, the better chance this gets more towards the central Gulf of Mexico. You can see this X on the map distinguishes where we have that tropical wave right now. And then we see this highlighted red areas. This essentially shows where the expected track of this disturbance will be as it gets tugged northward over the next 24 to 48 hours. And there are the odds now up to 80% that this becomes a tropical depression within the next 48 hours and a 90% chance over the next probably 72 to 96 hours. That's when this is going to be coming northward. I wouldn't be surprised if later this morning this is giving a potential tropical cyclone status, which means we would start to get more frequent updates on this, and we would start to see a forecast track, which would go out 5 days. So that would go all the way out through Friday. So don't be surprised if a forecast track comes out later this morning and does include most of the southeast, and the possibility here certainly along the South Carolina coastline of the center of this storm coming northward. Now, here are the latest computer models, and they've kind of bunched up there from the Big Bend region up into the Panhandle, similar to a track that we had Hurricane Michael. We're looking at that as kind of the best reference storm as far as the intensity and the track that's showing up in the computer models. But notice once this comes inland, a lot of the models like to tug this back to the north and west. We have an upper level disturbance that's going to be across the central part of the country, which may cause this to kind of tilt backwards or move back to the north and west. And the farther west, if it's more on one of these western tracks, this would have lesser impacts for us. Now, we do know that this will be a quick-moving storm system, so unlike Debbie, which stretched out over the course of 4 to 5 days, most likely the impacts for us as this comes northward, of course still depending on track, but would be more in the 12-hour time frame rather than something that's going to stretch over the course of 96 or 120 hours like we saw with Debbie. So here's the setup. The storm comes north in the Gulf of Mexico. This would be Thursday afternoon as it approaches the northern Gulf Coast or the Panhandle region of Florida over towards the Big Bend. Obviously, there's a lot of wiggle room within this. Margin of error is still pretty large as we look out 4 days, so that brings in the possibility that this even goes over towards the Tampa area. But if this track is farther to the east, more towards the Tampa area, that would bring in more impacts from the ocean for us. This would cause this storm to be a little bit stronger for us. And like we saw back with Hurricane Irma, even though a storm comes into Florida on the Gulf side, it can certainly have some pretty significant impacts. It caused one of the biggest coastal flooding events that's on record in the Charleston area. That was due to a prolonged onshore flow that occurred around a hurricane that made landfall down into Florida and then eventually came up across Georgia and stayed to our west. So that kept that persistent wind out of the south and east that pushed a lot of that water up into all of our waterways and caused all that extensive flooding. Now, these are not two similar systems. There have a lot of differences between the two of them. So we'll keep you updated with the very latest. As far as the impacts for us, the timing would be late Thursday into early Friday. So here we go, tropical system in the Gulf of Mexico. Most models show it becoming Hurricane Helene, perhaps a major hurricane with impacts here as possibility. You can see all those impacts, but not a guarantee at this time. We'll keep you updated once again. Late Thursday into Friday is the time frame of interest for us. We'll keep you updated from right here at the Live 5 First Alert Desk.